As far as Sylvia knew, Rudra was the only one who could fight on equal footing with that strongest demon lord, the Crimson. Sylvia passionately recommended Rudra, emphasizing this point. In a way, they're mother and daughter alike. But here, Leon's opinion tipped the scales. I'll admit that this Rudra or whatever seems to be quite the impressive figure. If he managed to draw with that gi, then his strength must be the real deal. But listen, Chloe is the perfect beauty, combining both elegance and cuteness. In that regard, I'd say the difference between them is crystal clear. Leon had stated his absurd logic with a straight face. Elmesia nodded sweetly, and Sylvia clicked her tongue in annoyance, having lost her edge. Hey, Mr. Blonde Hero who's way out of line, could you just stay quiet over there, please? Huh. With that, Sylvia vented her frustration on Leon. Leon was a former hero too, but he wasn't treated well. For Sylvia, who was a hero maniac, Leon's reputation was at rock bottom. Unlike Elmesia and the others, who were excited with relief, Chloe's expression was stiff. After all, Chloe had been defeated by the demon lord Milim many times in the past time. She'd even faced Milim as the strongest hero Chrono, even so, she couldn't win. Upon Remuer's death, Milim, who had entered a state of stampede, slaughtered the powerful beings with unimaginable strength. Chloe was one of them, and having witnessed that form and the situation, it was impossible for her not to be tense. But there is hope. Because now Chloe had all three elements of courage, hope and justice together, making her far stronger than Chrono in her memories. And so, Chloe, upon awakening from her slumber, had synchronized more deeply with the Mona's Chrono. In a manner that felt natural to Chloe, Chrono's sense of self gradually faded away. No, the truth is different. As Chloe grew, the role of the Monas Chrono came to an end. At that point, Chrono had returned to the past and merged with the young Chloe. Don't worry. I'll pretend to be tainted by madness and guide you, so that you can definitely reach this future. That was Chrono's determination. It would be lonely to part ways with Remuer, but Chrono smiled. After all, that's right. I'm sure we'll meet again. Chloe didn't know that, but she was no longer a young child. She was the strongest hero Chrono had ever believed would be alright. In the future world that Chloe remembers, Chrono was barely able to master the ultimate skill. King of Space-Time, Yog-Sothoth. Even so, she was strong enough to reign at the top of the world. However, the current Chloe had awakened to the ultimate skill. God of Space-Time, Yog-Sothoth. This was something else entirely. Even without the sacred ancestor, Chrono was able to control her power naturally. In response to Gaia's request, she'd instantly jumped into space-time toward Milim, but Chloe understood what she had to do. That is your wish, Sir Remuer. She couldn't let Milim commit any more crimes. This very moment was the reason Chloe had obtained her power. I will protect your fate. Ga. Milim howled in response to Chloe's declaration. The air trembles. And so, the hero joined the war, with humanity's hopes at her back. Chloe had chosen a prolonged battle against Milim. Against Milim, who had an inexhaustible amount of energy, it would be a bad move if you thought about it normally. But Chloe didn't hesitate. After all, judging from her experience fighting Milim many times, she was confident that was the best course of action. Chloe blocked the dragon punch unleashed by Milim with her moon mistress. The Moonlight Rapier, which had evolved to the mythical grade level, effortlessly withstood the pressure of the fist of Milim Nava, the strongest demon lord, and did not shatter. However, this was only possible due to Chloe's exceptional skill level. She skillfully dispersed the force and maneuvered to avoid taking a direct hit from Milim. Chloe deftly countered and deflected Milim's dragon punch. Just as she was about to follow up with a counterattack. Gah. Chloe coughed up blood, and the strength drained from her body. Milim's tail had pierced through Chloe's abdomen. With unpredictable movements, Milim toyed with Chloe. No, she should have been toying with her. Despite coughing up blood and seemingly suffering a fatal wound, Chloe's beautiful face returned to its usual calm, as if nothing had happened. She calmly raised her sword toward Milim. There was no trace of a wound on her abdomen, and her clothes were not torn. Her divine spirit armament remained intact, and it was as if Milim's earlier attack had been nothing more than a dream or an illusion. Such was Chloe's plan for Milim's onslaught. Unlike before, Chloe remained expressionless as she greatly avoided the attack. A dragon fist and tail passed in front of her. The opportunity to set up a counter was lost, but it was a repeat of the earlier scene. However, this time, as if to say it was the right move, Chloe's maneuvering was flawless. Yes, that was only natural. After all, Chloe knew the right choice. In fact, Chloe had nearly died in the previous exchange. However, the moment she realized her mistake, she activated her authority. Ultimate Skull God of Space-Time, Yog-Sothoth, and erased the event as if it had never happened. Experiencing something once and then returning to the past, this was the true essence of Chloe's authority. By mastering God of Space-Time, Yog-Sothoth, Chloe had gained the ability to send only her consciousness freely back into the past. By synchronizing with her past self, she could recall memories from the future she had already experienced. In other words, Chloe could always make the optimal choice. In battle, this granted her an absolute advantage. Against an opponent like Milim, who would not forgive even the slightest mistake, Chloe was able to stand her ground alone. The reason for this was none other than God of space-time, Yog-Sothoth, which allowed her to foresee the future. The greatest benefit of this authority was that it consumed zero energy. While her future self expended energy, her present self consumed nothing at all. Chloe had chosen a prolonged battle to make use of exactly this advantage. Chloe knew. It's impossible to beat Milim, she said. In that case, she had no choice but to suppress it and incapacitate it. Chloe understood all too well that she was the best person for that role. That's amazing, Elmesia murmured. There were no mistakes in Chloe's battle. It was as if she'd read through everything, bringing battle into a shape that should have been perfect, without stagnation. It was a battle as beautiful as a performance, with no wasted effort. What's more, even the impact on their surroundings is slight. How much concentration would it take to pull off such a feat? Once again, Chloe perfectly controlled Milim. It seemed as though Milim had charged into the spot where Chloe had dodged, and by coincidence, a stray magic bullet fired by Feldway struck that very location. But reality is different. With conviction, Chloe had chosen the optimal course of action, just as she'd intended. All that remained was the perfect ultimate result. To those watching the match other than Chloe, it was an unreal sight. But, Chloe didn't even have the leeway to do so, even with the overwhelming power of recalling memories from the future. With Milim as her opponent, she would never let her guard down. In fact, Chloe has already made the mistake of sustaining fatal injuries several times. Although Milim, who acts on instinct, possesses combat senses that transcend even skill, she remains as formidable as ever. Really, you're strong. If this is the case, Guy might actually be better after all. Those were Chloe's true feelings. Guy would be able to cross paths with skill. They should be able to read each other's intentions, high-level psychological warfare. For Chloe, who knew the future, such opponents were easy to deal with. But Milim was different. What's more, it was impossible to even kill her with a single blow. Unlike Remure, Chloe could be endlessly cool-headed once she decided that was the best course of action. Naturally, she considered eliminating Milim as well, so she actually tried it out. But that led to the worst possible outcome. All kinds of Chloe's ultimate techniques didn't work on Milim. The usually strongest technique, Absolute Severance, was blocked by a barrier, and did not affect Milim. Even when attempting to seal her with Infinity Prison, Milim easily broke through and escaped. Even with Reverse Fate, the path to the result Chloe desired, Milim couldn't be brought back to her senses. It was proven that without removing the cause of her rampage, the best outcome could not be achieved. Then, as a last resort, she used the most powerful secret technique, Fatal Lost, to crush her with the weight of time. But this turned out to be the worst choice. This technique accelerates the flow of time for the target, leading them to the farthest reaches of time, an ultimate move against any living being that cannot resist. But for Milim, it was different. By merely allowing more power to be accumulated, it resulted in the destruction of the world. Chloe was also a child. As if in jest, Drago Nova was unleashed repeatedly, causing the Axis world to collapse in an instant. Chloe witnessed it until the very end before returning to the past. She firmly etched in her heart that this was a nightmare that must never be repeated. That said, the situation was getting worse and worse. Chloe had been carefully acting while testing various things, but there were times when she made a big move, prepared for damage. It looks like she misread it, but it's actually not. There was a time when Milim's attack motion would lead straight to the Drago Nova. Leaving this alone will shatter the sacred tree. Or, it will cause severe damage to the ground. In order to prevent that, Chloe needed to push herself, even at the cost of a few sacrifices. That's harsh. Or so Chloe thought calmly. Even though she kept choosing the best moves, Chloe was the one suffering more damage. Not only that, but Milim didn't even seem to feel the slightest discomfort, and it's still unclear just how deep her power goes. Chloe was, without a doubt, one of the strongest. She could probably even fight on equal footing with the hero Rudra and Demon Lord Guy. Even the many ultimate techniques were unrivaledly powerful. But, Demon Lord Milim was too bad of an opponent. She don't know how much more time she'll be able to buy. Just being able to see the future, the endless agony continues. Even so, Chloe didn't give up. Yes, it's almost time. I am here. It's fine, just take the front. Don't say hurry. Veldora came flying at supersonic speeds, but she didn't even let her greet him properly. He ended up under Chloe's command. He don't have time to be smug. But that was fine. With this, Chloe finally had some leeway. Veldora was pitiful, but that was also fate. Veldora had been through something unreasonable. Wait, this doesn't make sense. When I show up as the savior, shouldn't those who were in a pinch be overwhelmed with gratitude and tears of joy? But instead, why is this happening? Standing directly in front of Milim, exposed to her onslaught, Veldora is greatly bewildered. Zelario is also having a hard time dealing with Feldway, but he's no match for Veldora's misfortune. Leonani-chan, you've rested long enough, haven't you? Hurry up and go support that person. What did you say? Hurry up and move. Okay. Perhaps being swayed by the whims of a younger sister is the fate of those born as older brothers, even if they aren't connected by blood. Moreover, for Leon, Chloe is not only an incredibly beautiful girl, but also a beloved younger sister figure. When she gives an order, the only acceptable response is yes. Thinking to himself that this might be a reward of sorts, Leon moved to assist Zelario. His thoughts are quite peculiar, but since he doesn't voice them, he maintains a cool image. Striving to impress Chloe, Leon fought valiantly. Inspired by this, Elmesia also joined the battle against Feldway. I'll avoid direct combat so I don't get in the way, she called out before resuming her support role. Elmesia's ultimate skill. King of Heavenly Wind, Feu specializes in atmospheric manipulation. For a swordsman, footing is crucial, so she adjusted the spatial fixation to match Leon's movements, allowing him to effectively utilize the recoil. Leon was also greatly saved by this. Zelario and Feldway have wings, making them highly skilled in aerial combat with swords. However, Leon's true expertise lies in ground combat. While it's one thing to merely restrain an opponent like Milim, counterattacks require solid footing to be effective. With Elmesia joining the battle, not only Leon but also Zelario's momentum increases. For swordsmen, having stable footing is undeniably advantageous.